doing things differently. For me, Porter's definition of seductive in an incredibly positive manner. Porter's concept of strategy as choosing a different set of activities bridges the gap between the military and business, and between ancient and modern as well. Let's consider the ancient warrior Hannibal and his victory at the Battle of Cannae. In 216 BC, at the Battle of Cannae, the great Carthaginian general Hannibal was outnumbered badly by the Romans, so he should have lost. But, armed with fewer resources than his Roman enemies, Hannibal configured his forces differently. He didn't follow the best practices of his day and line his soldiers up in the usual way. Instead, he outmaneuvered and he outsmarted his Roman enemy with a battle plan that enveloped his numerically superior foe and completely destroyed it. And it was Hannibal's bold way of rejecting the usual forward march of phalanxes that yielded his success in battle. Similarly, choosing a different set of activities was a defining feature of the early Apple computer and its role in triggering the personal computer revolution. Apple inventions of the early 1980s, especially the Macintosh computer, were a deliberate turn away from the mainframe computers of that time. This willingness to think different was Apple's strength from the beginning and went on to become a marketing slogan for the company starting in 1997 as Steve Jobs returned to the company and re-energized it. Strategic thinking is goal-directed, it is structured, and it is focused on the future in a precise way. It is analytical, it's ambitious. It concerns power and trends. It concerns uncertainty and the resolution of that uncertainty or learning to coexist with and accommodate that uncertainty. It is instrumental. And this means that we utilize strategic thinking as an instrument to achieve our goals. It becomes a resource, much like money or time or labor. Strategic thinking also becomes a lubricant that makes all of our other resources work better. Strategic thinking is useful across a range of activities, from the grand and sweeping to the at-home and everyday. Begin your day doing just 5 minutes of an activity that contributes to one of your strategic goals. Anywhere we find strategy being used in any capacity, strategic thinking is present. To demonstrate the versatility and usefulness of strategic thinking principles, in this course we take conceptual cuts at our strategic concepts and we see how they play out in examples from the realms of business, of sports, politics, and the military. Here are just some of the topics we cover. The principles of conflict. Over the centuries, soldiers and scholars alike have attempted to develop strategic doctrine, or so-called principles of war. The idea being that there may be some key to human conduct that remains valid, regardless of the circumstances of time and space. And over the centuries, these various theories have tended to overlap. Thomas Jefferson once said of religion that if you would know the truth, then look at what the great religions of the world agree on. There you will find important keys to human conduct. Now, whether this is true or not for religion, it does seem to be true for military strategic doctrine as embodied in the principles of war. The United States' own official principles of war, first published in 1921, resemble the principles of war that can be found in many other countries and times. When we talk about strategy, we really cannot ignore the role of intelligence in our discussions. Intelligence and analysis plays an increasingly important role in critical thinking. It provides the raw material to build a sound strategic structure. Not only do we want to find out what the other side is doing, we want to mislead him about our own intentions. In the first Gulf War, for instance, in 1991, the U.S. military used multiple deception techniques to confound Saddam Hussein's forces, then occupying Kuwait. One ploy was a faked invasion of Kuwait from the sea, which tied down close to 100,000 Iraqi soldiers. The 4th and 5th Marine Expeditionary Brigades cruised in circles in the Persian Gulf, as if poised for an amphibious assault on mined and well-defended beaches. The ploy distracted attention from the actual ground assault by General Norman Schwarzkopf, who crafted a masterful and classic left hook around the flank of the defending Iraqi army. In this case, the invasion deception was clearly communicated to the Iraqis, who then adjusted their own defensive actions in accord with what U.S. planners wanted. In competitive situations, the surprise attack smacks of the not-so-genteel aspects of conflict. We think of Pearl Harbor. We think of the ambush. In sports, in business, and in politics, we can admire a well-crafted surprise. Think of American football, where surprise and deception are integral parts of the game and are crucial to gaining competitive advantage. Here are some terms that are used all the time: fake punt, reverse, draw play, play action pass. On defense, we hear of how a team is attempting to disguise its coverage. As an example, let's have a look at the draw play. This play attempts to draw defenders into the wrong parts of the field. Specifically, the draw looks like a pass play, which draws the defenders into spreading out downfield to defend against the pass. But it's actually a running play. This puts the defense off balance and a step slower in reacting. The opposite is the play action pass, which is a pass play that is designed to look like a run. Here, the play action might be the quarterback pretending to hand the ball to a running back before actually making a pass. In both the draw and the play action stratagems, the idea is to get the defense to commit to the wrong course of action and to give our own plan a greater chance for success. It slows the reaction of our opponent. Surprise and deception serve us as useful tools to advance our strategic goals. Deception can turn a bad situation into good, and it can turn a good situation into victory. The 5 basic types of surprises at our disposal are surprises of intention, of time, place, strength, and style. And in our lecture on surprise, we look at each one. And strategy in a full sense equips us with tools that help us meet that future with confidence, tools of analysis that can aid our understanding of the powerful forces that shape our future, if not in completely satisfactory manner, well then at least in much better fashion than the alternative presented by complete ignorance. One of the most effective tools my students find empowering is the analysis of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's an analytical tool that ensures that we look at all aspects of ourselves or our firm, as well as the external environment, to ensure that our strategic intent matches well with our resources and our capabilities. We discuss that tool in Lecture 10. So let's gather everything we've touched on so far to define strategy itself. That is, our definition should be robust enough to encompass all of the fields of activity where strategy is used, and it should encompass all the strategic thinking skills we'll cover in this course. Let's offer it now. Strategy is a method or plan that we craft to bring about a desired future, such as achievement of a goal or a solution to a problem. It's a plan that assesses, acquires, and allocates necessary resources to the most effective and efficient use. And it's a plan or method that anticipates and incorporates competitor responses. So, it's apparent that strategic thinking is much more than just getting your schedule together for the week. It's not just a schedule, even a clever schedule. Peter Drucker, the great 20th century management thinker, observed that there are 2 types of thinking: thinking about objects and thinking about people. Static thinking involves planning around objects and is quite easy. The variables are few and relatively unchanging. You prepare a schedule. Strategic thinking, however, is immensely more difficult because it involves anticipating the actions and responses of competitors and preparing accordingly. When we learn to think strategically, it helps us to make sense out of chaos. It helps us to impose order onto a reality that remains stubbornly disorderly. Strategic thinking skills are most critical in the moments when an outcome is uncertain and additional strategic action is needed. Our strategic thinking skills are fully in play. This is the quarterback in the seconds before the snap, the courtroom attorney in a last-minute maneuver, the closing minutes on a stock exchange trading floor, or the perfect teaching moment with a child. But in those critical moments of sometimes rapid move and countermove, you must bring together a whole set of skills that you can learn. Strategy is a complex, multifaceted subject, deeply rooted in history. When we learn to think strategically, it helps us to make sense out of chaos, and there are many contemporary applications. We can learn to utilize the forces around us to our advantage, rather than allow those forces to pummel us. We learn to quarterback our own lives, both by planning ahead and by adapting our plan in the moments of decision that matter most. In this course, we cultivate the benefits of strategic thinking. As a strategic person, we can enjoy increased productivity, work satisfaction, more predictability, less stress, greater efficiency, a greater chance at victory, all of which enhances our chances of succeeding in life on our own terms. And that is an incredibly exhilarating prospect.